guys, so now it's time to get ready for the day. And the first makeup video, you know what time it is. It's time for makeup and mental health. So today, I'm going to be talking about something that may trigger something for you guys, and I apologize in advance. Not all mental health issues are dealt with the same. Not all mental health issues are the same, even once they're diagnosed. And how we cope with them is completely different. You know, there's drugs, there's medication. When we say drugs, oftentimes the reason people initially go to drugs is to self-medicate. And that can lead to addiction. Does it always? No. Not everyone who ever smokes pot or whatever your drug of choice is will get addicted to whatever the drug is. But it often does. So today, we're going to look at addiction. Start sharing my screen. And then we can go ahead and take a look at what is addiction. So according to the dictionary, gotta love Merriam-Webster. Actually, this one is Oxford Languages. So the British Dictionary, same thing. All right. According to them, it's a noun. If we remember elementary school, a noun is a person, place, or thing. So, or a thought. I would say addiction would be a thing and a thought. I would like your thoughts or nouns on this opinion. I know, horrible joke. I'm sorry. Back to addiction. Addiction is the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. The sentence example they give is, he committed the theft to finance his drug addiction. Some similar words to addiction are dependency, dependence, craving, habit, weakness, compulsion, fixation, enslavement, Monkey and Jones. I've heard a lot of these used in reference to addiction. Not enslavement. That is a new one for me. But it makes sense. And I'll tell you why I think it makes sense. Once you become addicted to literally anything, that addiction takes over your thoughts, emotions, logic, every ounce of your being. You have to feed it. You have to keep your happy place happy. And your brain has been rewired and is telling you that these drugs are the only way to keep you happy, to keep you sane, to keep you alive. You feel like you can't live without doing this thing, whatever this thing is. So let's go down. What qualifies as an addiction? This is just Google. I'm not diagnosing anyone. I am not giving advice. I just want to open your mind. So according to this, which is from apnews.com, the strictest definition of addiction refers to a disease resulting from changes in brain chemistry, see, I wasn't too off, caused by compulsive use of drugs or alcohol. This definition includes excessive use that damages health, relationship, jobs, and other parts of normal life. All right. So I want to just bring it out there that there are other types of addiction. Not all addictions are the same, and they're not all just drugs and alcohol. You can be addicted to shopping. You can be addicted to a person. You can be addicted to love or the idea of being in love. You can be addicted to makeup. You can be addicted to attention, caffeine. There's an unlimited number of things that you can be addicted to. Okay? So it's not just drugs and alcohol. Another common form of addiction is gambling. We can talk about that in a separate video. Addiction, in simple words, is an urge to do something that is hard to control or stop. If you use cigarettes, alcohol, or drugs like marijuana, weed, cocaine, and heroin, you could become addicted to them. I want to interject my personal opinion right here. I personally do not think that you can get addicted to marijuana. Have there been people that have been addicted? It's possible, but I don't see the correlation between marijuana and addiction. That's just my personal opinion. You may have your own. So, cigarettes is definitely an addiction. Weed, I don't see the correlation, but you can always enlighten me in the comments below. I'm always willing to learn. Cocaine, heroin. Let's talk about hard drugs for a moment. Cocaine and heroin hold a special place in my life. Not in the way that you think I did them. I never did them. But they have a special meaning to me. So, for me, y'all know I have a history of drugs. I did what you're not supposed to do and quit cold turkey. But I'm weird. Okay. Cocaine. Why does that hold a weird special place for me? Quite simply, one of my exes, I was with him for about 9 months. Thought I was in love with him. We became engaged. Lots of stuff. We smoked together. Multiple things. Mainly weed. He also smoked cigarettes, I believe. Anyways, we used to. His behavior started to change, and I noticed that fairly early on because he would start beating me. About 2 months into the relationship, I would say that's when the beating started. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Like, what can I do to fix this? And he knew that I had fairly recently been beaten. And that I was scared of being in a relationship because of that. And so he took advantage of that situation and made my fears come true. He beat me. I later on down the line found out that when he was beating me was when he was coming down from cocaine. He would apparently go and snort it in the bathroom of our apartment. I didn't know until later. There were many fights and beatings that commenced because I would find his coke and flush it down the toilet. You can't help those who don't want to be helped, I found out the hard way, folks. The really hard way. So cocaine, ever since I found out what it does to people or what it can do to people, I stayed the fuck away from it. Never did it myself. Wouldn't date anyone who did. And heroin, a mutual friend of ours, mainly mine, but people pretended to be his friends so that they could get close to me because he was also super protective in his own weird, controlling way. So heroin, one of our friends, who I can't find today, modern day, so I don't know if he's dead or alive. There were rumors a couple years ago that he died, but no one could confirm it. There was never a service. Anyways, that friend of ours would do heroin. I had a rule with my friends, and all of my friends complied, thank God. If you're going to do things like heroin, which I've always been against, you can't fucking do it around me. If you're high off of it, just let me know. If you're going to go do it in the fucking bathroom where I can't see the needle. You can't smoke it around me. For whatever reason, the fear of God was beaten into me or whatever for heroin, and so there were a couple of drugs similar to that I had the same rule. I don't care if you do it. Don't do it around me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to smell it. I just want to know that you're on it so I know how to act accordingly. Because people change when they're high. People tended to respect that. Anyways, he would smoke 8 balls constantly. He often got bad heroin and would end up in the hospital. He at some point started smoking 8 balls of something called shark heroin, which was described to me because I asked, because I like to be aware of what's around me. What the fuck is that? It's basically heroin that's laced with coke. His life went so far down a dark rabbit hole. I don't know. I hope he's alive and that he's better, but I have no idea. What are some examples of addictive behaviors? Okay, so these aren't exactly addictive behaviors. This list is actually more of Types of addiction. And yes, you can be addicted to sex. It's a thing. I have a friend who is, and I'm not going to name who this person is or their gender, but they have struggled with this a lot and they have become a chronic cheater. They try to fix it because they've been in a committed relationship for a very, very long time. The relationship is not poly, though, in my opinion, it probably should be because it would be healthier for both of them. What does that mean, being a sex addict? Does that mean I watch porn all the time? I mean, it could be part of it. This particular person's case, no, has nothing to do with porn. It has to do with the fact that they always want sex and they are very promiscuous. So it's not hard for them to strike up a conversation with someone that leads to sexual things. No, let me just clarify something real quick. Being poly, having an open relationship are two different things. Having an open relationship just means, in most cases at least, that you and your partner can go ahead and fuck other people. But in the end, you still come back to each other. Polyamory means that you bring other people into the relationship. In not just a sexual way, but like you can love other people and be in a relationship with other people and often get commingled with the main relationship. I would like to reference the show Sister Wives, because that is a form of polyamory. Polyamory is legal. Bigotry is not. And bigamy, I believe is what it's called. When you are married to more than one person at the same time, that is illegal in the United States. You can only be legally married to one person at a time. So I haven't actually watched Sister Wives, but the premise of it is a bunch of women who are basically married to the same man, raising all of their kids together. I don't know how or why people would want to be married to multiple women at once. We are beautiful creatures. That is true. But that's just a lot of estrogen periods and pregnancies to deal with. That's a lot of kids. A lot of unneeded stress. And it kind of shows a lack of commitment, in my opinion. This is my vlog, so I get to talk about that type of thing. You can also have a shopping addiction, which can lead to a lot of financial problems. Internet addiction, video game addiction, food addiction. Yes, that is a thing. Exercise addiction and work addiction. These are some of the more common ones. And we can talk about different addictions in different videos. Today we're just covering the broad spectrum of addiction. Okay, very briefly, how does addiction change the brain? It does change things in the noggin. It changes things. It just does. A person who becomes addicted it changes the chemical receptors in your brain. In a person who becomes addicted, brain receptors become overwhelmed. The brain reduces responses by producing less dopamine, the chemical that makes you happy, or eliminating dopamine receptors. An adaptation similar to turning the volume down on a loudspeaker when noise becomes too loud. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You take a drug, your brain goes, whoa, what is all of this shit you just put in me? Holy crap. Okay, let me shut some crap down. I'm not happy, and I don't know how to deal with that. So I'm just going to get rid of the things that make us happy. Dopamine receptors. Okay? That's why you think when you're high, you're happy. Okay. So we think we're happy. Pleasure. We think we get pleasure out of addictions. What part of the brain controls pleasure? The nucleus accumbens. Try saying that one 5 times fast. Dopamine releases in the nucleus accumbens is so consistently tied with pleasure that neuroscientists refer to the region of the brain as the brain's pleasure sensor. All drugs of abuse, from nicotine to heroin, cause a particularly powerful surge of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens. So when we read up here that it responds by producing less dopamine, and dopamine is in your pleasure center, it's a false sense of happiness and pleasure that we get. It's not real. People have told me I have an addictive personality, and by that they meant that I get addicted to things easily. I don't. I have been addicted before to things and people, but I don't get addicted easily, and it's pretty easy for me to walk away from drugs, not so much people. So what does it mean to have an addictive personality? An addictive personality is a personality that is more likely to become addicted to something. This can include someone being extremely passionate about something and developing an obsession or fixation. I do get fixated on things, and I mainly, at least when I used to date a lot, I used to be fixated on helping people fix their life, which would often mean that I would throw mine down the shithole in order to help them live their best life. Which is not good. Should never, ever let someone else control or take over your life. You should, I'm not saying you can't put other people first. Absolutely you can. And there are times for that. But I would let that become my whole life. That's not okay. When you're in school, it is perfectly okay to obsess over getting good grades, because you're obsessing about your future and making sure it's a more positive one. I don't see the harm in that, unless you can't do anything else but study. Literally, you don't allow yourself to eat, sleep, do normal everyday things, but you have straight A's. That's not okay. There needs to be like a work-life balance. School is your work, your family, your friends, and everything else is life. Have balance in your life. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say no. Well, that is this video. We talked about addiction. I hope that you learned some things about it today. Remember that I'm always here for you, and that I will try to drop a hotline in the descriptions for help. The link that I'm going to drop today, or I'm going to find for you. Someone recently mentioned Al-Anon, which is a group to help people who, you're not the one addicted, but you are, you know someone who is, and so you want to help that person. This group helps with alcoholics. But in any form of addiction, when you work on yourself, it also helps those around you. So I'm gonna try to find that link and drop it in the descriptions for today. I hope everyone has a blessed day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.